Hey guys, and welcome to YUGI-TUESDAYs. New thing I want to introduce: every Tuesday of the week I'm going to be releasing a new video, and this week being the first week of the new year, and it's going to be a big one with a ban list coming up, so I thought let's do a ban list prediction. The January ban list is only around the corner and there is a lot that needs to be hit. But before we get into the video guys, make sure you like, subscribe, tell your friends all about the channel, and stay tuned for more videos coming up. Let's get into the ban list. Starting off with the bans. This is a card that I think definitely needs to be banned. It's overpowered and can just be splashed into one of the main meta decks right now, and it's Arch Nemesis Protoss. This is an absurd card. The fact that it can just summon itself with a 3k defense and limit you to summoning mechanics is broken. This shouldn't exist in the game. We've had these problems before with True King of All Calamities and with Zexal as well. These cards are oppressive, and this is going to be the same problem if we don't deal with it now. A deck like Sword Soul, being a very powerful deck, is going to abuse this card, or is abusing this card, and will continue to do this. And I don't think it's fair that all these meta decks are going to have all these conditions to just stop you. So this needs to be dealt with. Definitely Arch Nemesis Protoss needs to be banned. Another oppressing lock in modern decks, and it's also splashable, which makes it so much more worse, is the Scythe lock. So this means either Dagda or Scythe, Artifact Scythe, need to be dealt with. This is ridiculous, and with a card like Destroy Phoenix Enforcer being in the meta, and again splashable because it's one of them fusion engines that can be splashed in, it means that this card is going to be appearing all the time, and being able to stop your opponent with doing a pop, and then in addition to that locking that at the extra deck with the Artifact Dagda, Scythe and Destroy Phoenix Enforcer, which a lot of decks are using right now, it just means that no one can actually play, and it's more about who wins dice roll and can just lock you out of playing the game. And that's what Yu-Gi-Oh has kind of turned into now. It's not about break my board, it's literally I am going to build a board where you can't physically play, not attempt to play, just play. So stuff like Protoss, stuff like Dagda are kind of reasons like it's not fun right now, so they need to be banned to give us a healthy meta right now. And so I would say more likely Scythe should be got rid of, just because it is the card that is causing the problems. However, Dagda, if that were to go as well, I could justify it because it means you can only use it with the Sanctum card for Scythe, and it slows down the game a little bit, so at least it weighs up there and it wasn't a problem. But yeah, definitely needs to have something done with it. So yeah, either Scythe, Dagda, or both need to also be banned. And finally, my last ban, and it kind of just needs to be done at this point, it's almost a repetition of Sky Striker, where they won't hit engage and they just keep tiptoeing around hitting the deck, but they ain't going to hit the main card. That's the problem. Ben 10. Drytron is a deck that needs to be kind of dealt with. It's been a deck that's been around for a bit too long now. It's just been a top meta contender and hasn't changed. It can build a very powerful board, and by hitting Ben 10, it can still make a strong board, but it just stops the looping that they constantly can do. And they tried to do this with limiting it to 1, which was a good hit, but just rip off the band-aid and just get rid of Ben 10. It's just like a repeat of engage. It just needs to be dealt with. So I just say, I think Drytron have had their moment. Let new decks kind of come in. You know, this is the game. You know, you get power crept. You've been there for a long time now. I think Drytron need to go hit Ben 10, because they're, whatever ban list is kind of hitting them, they're not doing enough. They need to hit Ben 10. It's been a long time now. Let's just get rid of Ben 10 and then just make it easier for all ourselves. Ban Ben 10. Now onto the limits. So firstly, I think PK is going to be doing a very, very, very big impact in the meta. PK is going to be a very good deck with Brave coming out. So I definitely think they need to be hit, or I think it's more going to be a tactical decision from Konami. They're not going to want pure PK to be stronger than PK Brave, which they're kind of wanting to sell, because Brave's going to be the new engine that's coming out and it works well with PK. So I'd say they're going to hit Taunt Scale. Limit Taunt Scale. One, it's a very strong card for the deck anyway, so it should be limited, but I would definitely agree that they're going to it's going to be more of a tactical hit. If I wanted to sell a lot of expensive cards and it works well with a good deck, I'd make sure there's room in that deck to fit the Brave. So I'd say Taunt Scales and also Fogblade. Both of these cards are very powerful and not touched, and I think now they're showing a meta appearance, and they've been out for a bit of time now. they just do need to be hit to 1. I wouldn't say ban them, I don't think they're worthy of being banned, but they are definitely at the point where they're showing to be top meta decks, and they've got more support coming, and they are just broken in the deck. They're searchable, they're consistent, and they help the deck plus a lot. And Fogblade having multiple of them set is just oppressing when you can have that plus other negates and hand traps. It is just incredibly overpowered, so I think it does need to be kind of curved with the power. So that's why I'd say Fogblade and Torn Scale need to be limited to 1 to hit PK. Another one to 1 is Fusion Destiny. Now, I don't know whether or not they will, because I can't remember if there's a rumour that there's going to be, or it's confirmed that Fusion Destiny is going to be an ultimate rare printing. I heard otherwise, and I thought it was going to be Verte Anaconda, so that's why I've heard that it's Verte, so I'm not going to put Verte on this ban list. Although, really, it's a powerful card, and it does kind of curb all these Fusion spam problems, but anyway, I do think Fusion Destiny should go to 1. Only because being able to play it at free, because you can play it free because the restrictions aren't as strong as something like Red Eyes Fusion, it just makes it more easier to see this more consistent card. You know, the whole Destroy Phoenix Enforcer engine is quite new, so they won't hit Destroy Phoenix Enforcer because that's going to affect their money. But putting it down to the same level as Dragoon, where you only have 1 fusion spell that you can see, so you kind of are forced to go down the route of going Verte, and then on top of that, it ruins the consistency of seeing it. It's still powerful, but you have to commit more resources. It just makes the whole engine a bit more fair. So definitely that needs to go to 1 as well. A couple hits for TriBrigade as well, I think. Lyrilus Recital Starling, I think I said that right, there's so many of them. Yeah, that card I think is a good way to hit the Lyrilus side of the TriBrigade bird up strategy. Being a soft once per turn, so it's a once per turn on each copy, does make it absurdly powerful if you start off with the right couple cards, which they can easily do in TriBrigades. And then it also being able to have multiple of them on the field to do multiple searches, then can go into Utopic Draco Future, which again is just a really powerful card, on top of everything that they're going to be able to summon in TriBrigade, being able to do the banishes and spam summons and going into more monster negates as well. I definitely think that should go to 1. It won't kill the deck, but it definitely will curb the power and definitely curb the bird upside of all of what they can do. But yeah, that's definitely a card that I think should go to 1. I don't think it will be a too dramatic hit on TriBrigade because they're doing a bit, but yeah, they definitely need to be hit in the Lyrilusk area. Secondly, as well for TriBrigade, I will add Revolt should be limited. I think it will just kind of curb how much they can do. It means that the big summoner monsters going into Omen and doing their banishing is just kind of more of a one-hit wonder and not a consistent thing that they can do on top of all of their negates that they'll have on the board. They are a powerful deck, so I do think that there should be key areas that are curbed, but I don't think compared to something like Drytron, it's not doing as much or isn't just as powerful and hasn't been going on for as long. But yeah, definitely would say TriBrigade need to lose Revolt to 1, and the bird upside of it need to lose Recital Starling to 1 as well. And finally, I will also mention a couple of things that I think could come off the ban list, only because I think Power Creep's moved aside and I don't think they'll have that much of an impact. One of them being Harp Horror. Just bring it back. I can't see Orcus doing something mad right now. I know there's talks of Orcus Dragon Link because of Rocket Caliber and the way that works, and also using the Chaos Dragon to mill 5. But it's a high risk, high reward, and it's kind of been spoken about, but it's not doing anything. But yeah, I think Orcus could easily have Harp Horror go to 1, and it wouldn't change anything. The format's moved so much further on than what they had way back when, and yeah, it's just harder balls to kind of go over, and Orcus will always still have the problem of losing to 1 hand trap, and the only way they're going to get around that with Caught by the Grave at 1 is having to also run Crossout Designator and then fill in their deck with hand traps, meaning they lose consistency. So there's a yin and yang to this, but I definitely think Harp Horror can come to 1. I don't think it will change the format. It might have a little spring of hype of people who used to play Orcus, but they're not going to be it'll be a quick roller coaster of up and down. But yeah, bring Harp Horror to 1 because that'll be fun. Also, definitely believe that Galaxy Tomahawk, number 42 Galaxy Tomahawk, can come off the ban list. Yes, it is an XYZ monster that spams tokens, but it's also a level 7 Xyz monster, a rank 7 I mean. So I can't see decks playing this constantly. I can't see it being brought up and being very oppressive. There's one or two decks that I can maybe think that could use it, one of them being fairly competitive, but they wouldn't waste. They'd have to use a lot of resources and waste a lot of resources to even get to that point to bring out 2 level 7s. So it wouldn't be worth it. Yes, it can spam out tokens, but it's also really hard to get out. So I definitely think just let it come back to 1 and just test the waters. But I honestly can't see it doing anything crazy. But it'd just be a good card to come off the ban list. Yeah, why not? I can see it going to limited, and I can't see it doing anything bad right now. Onto the semi-limits. This one's quite small. Firstly, either Gazelle or Circle, or both, but definitely one of the two for Salamangreat. It can come back to 2. I don't think that they're going to have such an impact. Don't get me wrong, they're powerful decks, but I don't think they need to be limited. I'd say keep them semi-limited, or maybe pick Circle, because then you could unlimit that, because it is a searcher, but then you're still limited to 1 Gazelle. It could get banished or hit, because there's a lot more different ways to remove it now than just sending it to the grave. So you kind of hit the Gazelle, you cut off the consistency, you do the same thing. But yeah, I'd say definitely hit, put them back to 2, at least Circle, because it's your searcher, but it's not giving you an extra monster to summon to the field. Salads, yes, they have 1 or 2 cards that work from the hand, but most of them like the graveyard, so it's not going to be too impactful having a searcher to the hand. But yeah, I definitely think they can come back to 2. I don't think it's doing a big enough splash in the meta to actually change anything, and bringing one of them or both of them back to 2 still won't do anything. So yeah, I would fully back the fact that Gazelle Circle could easily come back to 2. And I think a lot of YouTubers as well would definitely agree that it's the same situation. Another duo that I definitely think could go back to 2 as well is Black Dragon Collapser and White Dragon Wyvern Buster. Yes, they are good in the sense that they special summon themselves and they search the other ones out, but the deck they use it in, being Dragon Link, yeah, it's good, but it's not really up there, is it? Don't get me wrong, Dragon Link can kind of like pop off and get some things going, and I have seen really good builds, but they've lost LP, they haven't got Argapane, Striker Dragon is limited to 1. I really could see them putting this card up to 2 each, and it wouldn't change anything. When you look at a card like Rocket Caliber, which is really powerful in the deck, but it hasn't really been utilised that much, apart from maybe using the Orcus Dragon Link combo, I really do think they could kind of get away with bringing the Black and White Dragon Collapses. I honestly think they wouldn't use it, because it would kind of ruin their consistency, or all they would do is swap it out for another card that would special summon itself instead, but then it flips it, so then they don't have as many darks or as many lights in the graveyard for, say, a Leviathan. So there is a kind of yin and yang, but I really don't think it would affect the balance of Dragon Link. I don't think it would make it more powerful. I think it would just change what cards they use. But I definitely think White Dragon Collapser and Black Dragon Wyvern Buster, whatever one it is, the other way around, the Black and White Dragons definitely can come back to 2 as well. I don't see them being a problem right now. Another card that I reckon could go back to 2 is going to be Called by the Grave as well. Called by really isn't doing much in the sense of people run one of them still because of hand traps, but hand traps aren't as prominent as they were maybe about a year ago. Cards like Forbidden Droplets, Lightning Storm, Dark Ruler No More, these are kind of more of the cards that you're seeing in decks nowadays over your Ash Blossoms, your Infinite Impermanences and your Veilers. So it's not going to have as much of an impact against them cards anyway, which are more prominent. But hand traps are still out there, and people are kind of going more the cross-out designator route for these big money cards. But for those who don't have a lot of money to buy the big money cards and cross-out designator, it just gives them something to have on top of as well. It kind of helps out the little guy, the budget player. But I don't think it would change the ratios of what people play with cross-out, being they'd still probably play 2 cross-out, because a lot of people are only playing 2. They ain't going for the whole playset. But then add on the Call By as well, 2 and 2. It'll brick out some people's decks, but at least people have a bit more protection, or they can have protection where they can't afford it. But I definitely can't see it being a big problem if Called by the Grave came back to 2. I don't think it would change the sales of cross-out designators. But yeah, Called by the Grave at 2, I definitely think that could come back. It didn't need to go to 1. And finally, Unlimits. The only one I'm going to say is Skullcrabat Joker. I don't think anything else needs to go to 1, 3. Emergency Teleport. I think that's safe at 2. It could go back to 3, but I don't really think that needs to. Virtual World, don't get me wrong, it's a good deck, but I don't think it's popping off too much. So putting it to 3, they could do it, but yeah, I think E-Telly's really good at 2 right now. I don't want to push it. Malicious as well could go back to 3. It will always yo-yo between 3-2, 3-2. So I almost want to keep Malicious at the semi-limited list because I think that should be just for Malicious. But yeah, literally the only one I really think should go back to 3 is going to be Skullcrobat Joker. Just because they're like drip feeding it back into the meta and it's not doing much. However, Pendulum Magician, when the new Pendulum XCX card comes out, will be broken. So we have to see, but yeah, I still bring it back to 3. I don't think it's going to do too much. But that, guys, is the video. Sorry for me waffling on a little bit, but this is my ban list predictions. Comment down below if you thought I missed anything or what you'd like to see next in the videos. But stay tuned for next Yugi Tuesdays. Peace.